Trump is facing 4 different indictments. It could be the most controversial candidate to become a nominee for president, and Desantis. And that is going to be a lot of money that is going to be spent on these primaries. It is going to be the people who like Trump and love Trump and the people who hate Trump. I wouldn't be surprised to see money from the left pouring into DeSantis' campaign just to spice things up. Rumble is trying to push their streaming service, right? And here's the thing. This is what's gonna sound wild. I'll put it to you this way. All right, and this is gonna be a little bit odd to think about, but just hear me out. I'm not saying they're a buy because of their fundamentals, but look at it this way. Do you know what news network highest paying for contributors / anchors? Anybody? Anybody know which one? Do you want to know why? Because when you have, let's say, just for the sake of this whiteboard, the left and the right. I don't want to list all of them, but you've got CNN, NBC, or MSNBC, NBC. You've got ABC. You know, on the news networks, they generally tend to lean more left. But you only have one on the right, right? So if you have a general 50-50 split in political leanings, especially older people who watch news and not streaming services, and you have all of that into one, that means advertisers have to pay more money to get in front of that target audience because there's only one place they're going to watch it. Also, older people, for the most part, tend to be more conservative leaning, and a lot of the big paying companies like life insurance, health insurance, homeowner insurance, those pharmaceutical companies for old people medication. So that's how they're able to make so much more money as an individual company as opposed to several other large scale companies when it comes to advertising dollars. All of YouTube is a majority conservative? Back to what I was saying. So, the left generally tends to be split up, and younger people, for the most part, tend to be more left-leaning. Obviously, that changes a lot when they get older. I'm not saying they go conservative or Republican. They just tend to be a little bit less, less far left as you get older. But regardless, this group of people also tends to be more online and more streaming and more, different news sources, Reddit, whether it's streamers, whether it's YouTube, whatever. So the advertising dollars are there. So when you look at something like Rumble, right? Rumble is very R leaning as far as the perception of the business. They're spending a lot of money right now on signing streamers. They're trying to take advantage of the Rogan momentum, as it were, and so they're seeing a higher revenue, right? They're seeing higher revenue, but the cost of revenue is also going up because they're operating at a loss because they're spending so much money to make that revenue. But they're in that growth at all cost phase right now. The reason that I bring this up is that because their earnings are showing that revenue is increasing, and we're almost to the primaries, right? And so no one is really paying attention to the Democrat primaries because it is almost impossible. It's happened very few times in history where the incumbent was challenged significantly or ousted by somebody primarying them, right? So Biden is going through all of his shit right now with his son and with a lot of the Ukraine, a lot of other stuff and inflation. But the only real challenger right now is Robert F. Kennedy, and he's going to remind me of the Ron Paul, the Bernie Sanders, and that kind of thing. Not what I'm saying is that like he'll have a big online presence, but it's not going to generate to the polls. So if this is pretty much locked in, that means the real fireworks are going to be in the Republican primaries. And it's going to come down to DeSantis and Trump. Why is this a big deal? Well, because DeSantis is emboldened and embrazened in a lot of his own controversies right now. Immigration laws, the Disney, the Don't Say Gay bill, the trans thing, COVID, everything. Trump just got indicted today in Georgia, along with Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and others, on trying to overturn the election. So Trump is facing 4 different indictments. Could be the most controversial candidate to become a nominee for president, and DeSantis. And that is going to be a lot of money. A lot of money that is going to be spent on these primaries. It is going to be the people who like Trump and love Trump and the people who hate Trump. I wouldn't be surprised to see money from the left pouring into DeSantis' campaign just to spice things up. Because, I hate to say it, but Trump is more likely to win against Biden than DeSantis is. Even though nobody wants to vote for Biden. They just want to vote against these guys, right? Because Biden doesn't have people who vote for him. There may be a few, but people aren't voting for him. There are people voting for Trump, because obviously we know that group of people. But no one's voting for Biden. They're voting against these guys. So with that being said, the more split this is, the more knockdown, drag out this is, the more exhausting this is, the better it is for the left. So I wouldn't be surprised to see money from the left pouring into DeSantis' campaign. Either way, there's going to be a ton of fucking money being poured into these campaigns. And the biggest beneficiaries of that are going to be Facebook and other things, including Rumble. Because if you have a younger conservative audience there, so that's what I'm looking at. If one of these two guys drops out, DeSantis because he just doesn't think he's going to win, or Trump because he just can't legally do it because he goes to jail or some crazy shit like that, then maybe not. But if these two guys are heating up for the primaries, and the amount of money that's going to dump into all the advertising and political advertising for this, keep an eye on Rumble over the next 12 months. What if DeSantis and Trump join forces? Well, they're not going to, because it's a bad look if especially for somebody like Trump, who doesn't want any kind of anybody to make him look less like any weakness. He's not going to have somebody who's going to be going after him. Although DeSantis has been pro Trump in a lot of ways, but you wouldn't do that.